In this video, I'm going to show you how to make any car, any color you want it to be. Let's go. We're going to change the color of this car. And obviously in real life, this would be something where you're either going all out doing a full paint coat, or maybe you're doing something that's less intrusive like a dip or a wrap. But changing the color of your car is one of those steps that can really make or break a build. One of the easiest ways I've found to do this, especially when you're dealing with a white car, and actually this works with other colors, you just have to be careful when you're doing your adjustment layer. But I'm going to start off by doing a selection of the entire body of the car. I'm going to use my pen tool, and I'm literally just going to trace around the entire car and make sure that I am capturing any piece that has body color paint on it. And then these little sections, I'm being very careful to make sure that I stay as close to the edge as possible. And again, now the next step is that we're going to cut out everything that we don't want to color change. So windows, vents, the black part on the side mirrors, headlights, fog lights, anything else that we missed. I think that's it. And the emblem on the front. Want to make sure we get all the details. So let's do that quickly now. So now this is what we've got. We've got the car, it's completely masked off. And all I'm going to do is hover over the thumbnail of each layer. I'm going to hold down my control key. I'm going to click. And what it's going to do, it's going to make that a selection. I'm going to hold down Shift and Control and click. I'm going to hold down Shift and Control and click. And do that on each one of these layers that are above the main color layer. And what I can do now is I can click this Create Layer Mask button, and it's going to make a mask. Then all I have to do is flip it. Control I, and it flips it around, and everything is masked off with the exception of the main paint color on the car. Now I do see where I made a mistake here, and I clipped out the wing mirror. So I'm just going to go back in, and I'm actually going to do this by hand. So this is where we are now. Got the car masked off, nice solid color, all of our paint is covered. I don't care what color this layer is. The next step is we just need to make a quick selection. I'm going to control click on the thumbnail view of my shape layer. Then I'm going to go down to my background layer. I'm going to do Control C, Control V, and copy and paste just the body of the car. So now I literally can get rid of the background of the car, and you see we just have the body left. Okay. And we want to leave that in place, make sure that it didn't move. I'm going to move this up here, and then what I want to do again is I need to clip out the window, so I'm going to do a selection of the mask and then go back down to this layer, and I'm going to do another mask on that. Okay, so what we have now is without the wheels, without the tint, we have got just the paint of the car that is selected and isolated on its own layer. Now I've got to do a couple of things to this before we change the color, because you'll notice in here that this white car is not all white. It's got blue, it's got some dark shades in here, it's got different grays. I want this all to be one uniform gray tone. So I'm going to go down here, I'm going to create a new adjustment layer. I'm going to do black and white, and I want this to clip to the layer below, so I'm going to Alt click in the middle of it, and you'll see what it does immediately is that it turns the entire thing just straight black and white. So there's no blues, there's no different shades, it's just black, white, and gray. This is exactly what we want. Okay, now I'm going to add another adjustment layer on top of that. We're going to go with our hue saturation layer, and again we want to clip that down to the layer below it. You can do that by doing the Alt click in between, or in the palette there's also a clip to layer below. This little icon right here will clip it to the layer below it. You'll notice that if I start changing the colors here, it doesn't do anything. You have to hit this colorize button. So you hit colorize, suddenly now you've got some color. And then we're going to bump up the saturation. We're going to bring down the lightness. What we end up with is a nice matte car finish, which if you're going for that look, you can stop right there. I want to make sure that this is glossy. What we're missing here is all of those highlights and lowlights that you get from the actual paint. The easiest way now to finish this off is to just change the blend mode on this layer. I'm going to go up to my blend mode. I'm going to choose a hard light. Now you see that picks up, and you can play around with these blend modes, because if you do different blend modes, it'll do different things. But hard light's going to give you where the light will show through. So I'm going to go back to my hue saturation layer, double click on the icon. That's going to open up my palette again. And I can again just move that slider to where I want it. If I actually want to see what the car looks like in orange, I can move it to an orange, a gold, yellow, green, turquoise, dark blue, purple. And it picks up on all those red. Oh wow, it looks good in red with the gold wheels. But it picks up on all of the highlights and the lowlights from the background layer below.